Warning, this program is entirely fictional and made by a sole Canadian man. All characters and events in the show, including the host, even those that are based on real people, are entirely fictional. The following program contains mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
America, the land of the free, home of the brave, and the stupid, and the criminally insane.
I saw it in his eyes.
The United States has seen its fair share of gangbangers, mobsters, and psychotics who've roamed our beloved streets, causing untold chaos, destruction, and corruption. Tonight, on Grand Theft Auto Biographies. Immigrants, opportunity, and betrayal. Tonight we examine the tumultuous life of a European smuggler turned hitman who came to America seeking revenge and closure, and in the process left his mark on the land of opportunity.
Well, I don't know about that.
We will follow the life of a man who may not have been born in America, but nevertheless represents the blackened heart of the American dream. A man who climbed the ladder of organized crime in Liberty City and went toe-to-toe with some of the most dangerous people in the city's history, and came out unscathed. Or so some say. Niko Bellic. I'm gonna very briefly break kayfabe here because I need your help. This series is exclusively created by me, and it takes a great deal to piece it all together. So while I'm sure you've heard this a trillion times, it really does help a lot to subscribe and like these videos if you enjoy this series. I know a lot of you are watching on TVs and don't bother to subscribe for one reason or another, but I promise you, if you enjoy this content, it will be well worth the extra few seconds. I am not going to fill your sub feed up with daily uploads of utter nonsense, only high quality, meticulously crafted entertainment for your viewing pleasure. So please, it really does help me a lot here on YouTube when you subscribe and like the videos, which helps the algorithms spread the series around, ensuring it's able to continue until its inevitable conclusion, and not a moment sooner. Niko Bellic was born Nikola Bellic in 1978 in Yugoslavia, to Milica Bellic and her husband, whose name is unknown. While it is known that Niko had at least one brother, it is probable that he had other siblings, though few details surfaced during our lengthy investigations. As a child, the Bellic family was very poor, with Niko claiming that his childhood home didn't even have electricity until he was 12 years old. Yet the still starry-eyed boy dreamed of one day being an astronaut and making something of his life, a sentiment he often shared with his cousin and best friend growing up, Roman Bellic. However, the naive dreams of the young Bellic boys would be crushed fairly easily with the arrival of many conflicts which peppered the Balkan regions during the 1990s. When Niko was a teenager, his only known brother was killed fighting in the Bosnian Wars, and Niko would witness further atrocities committed against his family and his people, such as learning of the assault and murder of his aunt, Roman's mother, by enemy forces invading during the later Yugoslav wars.
After you walk into a village and you see 50 children all sitting neatly in a row against the church wall, each with their throats cut and their hands chopped off, you realize that the creature that could do this doesn't have a soul.
At some point, Niko joined one of the military groups fighting in the Yugoslav wars, likely the Serb-controlled Yugoslav People's Army, or its many allied Serbian paramilitary forces and militias fighting against the government forces of the Army of the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the Bosnian Croatian Defense Council. Niko would be assigned to a unit of 15 boys, all from Niko and Roman's home village, and serve as a helicopter pilot, infantryman, and possibly tank driver, fighting tirelessly for many years before barely surviving an ambush which wiped out nearly his entire unit. Following the ambush, only 3 of the 15 boys survived: Niko, Florian Kravic, and Darko Brevic, which led Niko to conclude that one of the other 2 survivors had betrayed the group and set up the ambush in exchange for payment.
When I was in the army, we were going on a mission to ambush a squad who had killed a lot of innocent people. They were our enemies, but we never did it. There were 15 of us, all boys from the village. But one of us betrayed the group. It was a setup. For money. 12 people died. 3 escaped. I know the traitor was not me.
Horrifically scarred by this incident, Niko would vow to track down and uncover the traitor, no matter the cost. After the Yugoslav wars ended, Niko, who had developed a skill set killing and surviving, found himself unable to find steady work, and quickly took up a life working in the European criminal underworld, which would eventually earn him a short stay in a prison in an unknown country. Following his incarceration, Bellic would find work as a human trafficker, smuggling people into richer European nations under Ray Bulgarin, but this venture too was not destined to last. On a routine smuggling run transporting people into Italy, Niko's ship sank to the bottom of the Adriatic Sea, along with everyone and everything aboard. Being the only survivor, Ray Bulgarin blamed Niko for the loss and began hunting Niko down across Western Europe, eventually resulting in Niko joining the Merchant Navy in an effort to escape the powerful gangster's reach. Many years prior to Niko's involvement with Bulgarin, his cousin Roman had moved to Liberty City in America, seeking the American dream, and the two would keep in contact over the years, with Roman slowly but surely enticing Niko to come join him to live life in the land of opportunity. Niko, who had learned that at least one of the men who may have betrayed his unit years prior was now living in Liberty, Florian Kravich, decided to finally give in to his cousin and boarded the cargo ship Platypus bound for America, in part to see his cousin and live the dream, and in part to find Florian and hopefully close the chapter in his life dominated by paranoia and thoughts of revenge. Broker, Liberty City, 2008. At this time, a mishmashed network of rivaling organized crime syndicates, all vying for a greater deal of control over their respective territory, and all slowly succumbing to the increased crackdown on illegal operations during the information age and struggling to adapt. While the various gangs and mobs controlling the city have changed many times, one thing has remained true throughout the entirety of Liberty City's history, and that is its immigrant soul. From the Italian neighborhoods dominating Alderney State just across the West River, to the Jamaican Yardies' hard-won territory in Broker and Dukes, and the seedy red light dealings of the Russian Mafia controlling the Hove Beach and Firefly Island areas, among other neighborhoods, Liberty City is a melting pot of many different cultures, contributing to its opulent status as a city of new opportunities for the select few who manage to carve out a piece for themselves amongst the drug dealers, hitmen, white-collar criminals, and corrupt politicians.
Tom Stubbs. How do you do?
Following a 7-month-long voyage aboard the Platypus, Niko arrived in Liberty City sometime in 2008 to live with his cousin Roman, who, according to his emails, was living a life of luxury with fast cars, women, and flashy apartments. Upon arriving at the docks in East Hook, however, Niko was greeted by a drunken Roman driving a worn-down taxi, and would soon learn that Roman's glorious lifestyle was nothing more than tall tales, and that in reality, Roman was living in a run-down one-bedroom apartment in Hove Beach, with little more to his name than some pitiful savings and his cab depot.
Where's luxury condo? Where's sports car? Where's Barbara with big titties and Stephanie who sucks like a vacuum?
What are you talking about?
In your letters to my mother, in your letters to me, all I hear about is Mr. Big, Mr. Roman, living the American dream. Sports cars, condos, women, money, the beach, opportunity. I come here, and the only thing big about your life is the cockroaches.
Furious with his cousin for lying, but with nowhere else to go, Niko would live with Roman for a time in Hove Beach, meeting his girlfriend Mallory Bardas, and learning of Roman's growing debt to various loan sharks and gangsters throughout Broker and Dukes.
Where's your Russian friend now, huh?
Niko would confront and kill a group of Albanian loan sharks, Lader and Kalem, along with their boss, Dardan Petrela, whom Roman owed a great sum of money to from under-the-table poker games. And it was at that point that Niko began to realize that life in America would be strikingly similar to life in his home country. Niko would also find additional work at this time from Roman's friend Little Jacob Hughes of the Schottler Yardies, and steroid junkie Brucey Kibbutz, performing various jobs for the two, mostly related to territorial control in Little Jacob's case, and acquiring expensive vehicles to chop in the case of Brucey. It was during this time that Niko would be introduced to a friend of Mallory's named Michelle, and after some prodding from both Mallory and Roman, the two would begin dating despite Niko's occasional suspicions of the woman.
All your stuff is new. Some even still have tags on.
Ah, well, I like things clean.
I can see that. But, everything is new.
Yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with cleanliness.
While the American dream seemed far from their grasp, Niko and Roman looked poised to claw their way up from the bottom slowly. All the while, in the back of his mind, Niko was thinking of only one thing: finding the men who betrayed him and killing him. Despite the dangers, Roman, being a hopeless gambler, would continue accruing debts, most prominently to the Russian mafia by way of Vladimir Glebov, who, in addition to keeping Roman under his thumb, began employing Niko as an enforcer, all the while making moves on Roman's girlfriend, Mallory. Under Vlad, Niko would serve as a thug and, against his better judgment, hitman, helping to maintain Vlad's and, by extension, the Russian mafia's assets in Hove Beach and beyond. However, eventually Vlad would overplay his hand, and flat out bragged to Niko about his sexual escapades with Mallory, but Niko remained silent until Roman discovered the truth and forced Niko to act in pursuit of his honor.
You knew?
I had suspicions.
You fucking knew?
What was I going to say?
You knew my woman was banging this war dog and you didn't do anything?
I didn't
Didn't say anything?
I didn't know.
You're an asshole, Niko Bellic! A disloyal user! After what I did for you, you dick!
Niko and Roman would confront Vlad at Comrade's Bar in Hove Beach, but despite Roman's desire to let bygones be bygones, Niko would not stand for Vlad's blatant disrespect for Roman, and would instead chase Vlad all the way to the docks in Easthook, where he executed the chubby mobster against Roman and Vlad's own warnings of retribution.
You were the stupid one, Vladdy boy. Nobody fucks with my family.
With their lives almost certainly in danger, Niko would soon after meet Roman next to Perestroika, hiding in a dumpster from perceived tales, and despite Niko's insistence that there was no danger, the two would be attacked and kidnapped by Russian mafia associates and brought to the home of Mikhail Faustin.
Come on, fatty. The boss wants a little chat.
Vlad's boss, and the head of one of the two most powerful organized crime syndicates and broker.
Good lord. What are you doing?
The hot-headed and quick-tempered Faustin would shoot Roman in the stomach for screaming and make a deal with Niko, who he makes clear is now under his employment, with Faustin's level-headed second-in-command Dmitry Raskolov assuring Niko that his cousin will be fine and their debts cleared, so long as Niko does whatever Faustin asks him.
Ah! Roman! Go! I'll take care of him.
With little choice, Niko would work for Faustin directly, now ironically making more money than he ever made under Vlad, and establishing a name for himself amongst the Liberty City criminal underworld.
That's a good one.
Faustin's hair-trigger temper would eventually result in him sending Niko to kill suspected rat Lenny Petrovich, son of Kenny Petrovich, who ran the other dominant Russian mob present in Broker and Dukes. This act would spark a war between the Petrovich and Faustin families, which Niko continued to contribute to when the unhinged Faustin refused to negotiate on advice from Dmitry Raskolov, sending Bellic to bomb a Petrovich-controlled garage. Not long after sparking the feud with Kenny, Niko would be approached by Dmitry himself on Firefly Island, where he presented Niko with two options: live or die. The Petrovics wanted revenge for the death of Lenny, and the only way they would allow Niko to escape their wrath would be if he himself killed Faustin, a deal Dmitry hastily arranged with the Petrovics when it became clear that Faustin would simply not see reason.
You know, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that we must obey the rules of the game. We can pick the game, Niko Bellic, but we cannot change the rules.
Once again faced with an ultimatum, Niko would agree and confront Mikhail at the Perestroika Cabaret Club, where he chastised the man for his hasty decision-making.
You should have been calm.
After a brief chase onto the roof of the club, Niko would succeed in putting Faustin down, thereby keeping himself and his cousin safe from further retributions for Lenny's death. After dispatching Mikhail, Dmitry, the new head of the Faustin family, would ask Niko to meet him at a warehouse in Easthook to discuss payment for Faustin's assassination. Little Jacob, who had slowly become a good friend of Niko, would express suspicion towards the meeting and insist on joining Niko to serve as backup in the case of an ambush, which, as it turned out, was an exceptionally wise move on their part. Upon arriving at the warehouse, Dmitry would reveal his true intentions and affiliations when Niko's former employer, Ray Bulgarin, made his presence known. The two were old friends, and Dmitri, instead of paying Niko for his services, had intended to sell Niko's life to Bulgarin, who'd been searching for Niko ever since Bellic survived the sinking of one of Bulgarin's human trafficking vessels back in Europe. Thanks to backup from little Jacob, Niko would manage to shoot his way out of the warehouse and to temporary safety, but now a marked man by the Russian mafias of Liberty City, and an enemy once again of powerful men like Raskolov and Bulgarin, Niko would soon be forced to flee the even relative safety of Hove Beach. Following Dmitri's betrayal, Niko would inform Roman of the dire circumstances and tell him that the two needed to leave Broker immediately as it was no longer safe. Roman, furious, would accept the situation, but insist that before they leave he grab a gift from Mallory he had kept at the apartment, which the two quickly raced towards. Upon arrival at the apartment, they would discover the entire unit ablaze, horrifying Roman, and the tragedy would only worsen when they soon after found Roman's cab depot also burning, both set aflame by Dmitri Raskolov's men seeking to smoke the Bellic cousins right out of Hove Beach. Thankfully, Mallory would manage to secure some quick, temporary lodgings for the cousins in Bohan, where she grew up and had many connections, providing some, but very little relief for Roman, who revealed to Niko that the gift he'd lost in the apartment had been a ring which he intended to propose to Mallory with. It seemed to Roman that ever since his cousin had arrived in Liberty City, his life had only gotten worse.
Since you got here, I've had my computer smashed, I've been beaten up, I was kidnapped and then shot in the stomach! My apartment got burned down and so did my business! Things have been going so great! Just great since you showed up!
Ever the eternal optimist, Roman would quickly accept the circumstances, and Niko would resume his work for criminal elements of the city through Mallory's connections in Bohan, meeting community activist and vain TV personality Manny Escuela, for whom Niko would perform community service, ridding Bohan of dealers and gangsters to provide Escuela with fodder for his program under the guise of cleaning up the streets.
All I can say is I hope you'll continue to make the community a better place.
Hey, man, for a cop, you ain't so bad, man. Give it up. The streets, man, word, give it up.
At this time, Niko would also be introduced to corrupt Deputy Police Commissioner Francis McReary, and initially, unbeknownst to Niko, his brother, Irish gangster Patrick "Packy" McReary, as well as coke dealer Elizabeta Torres. For Torres, Niko would oversee a deal gone south for Packy, and later act as muscle in a large-scale heroin deal for Elizabeta, who was serving as the middleman between a lost MC biker, Johnny Klebitz, who owned the Brown, and the prospective buyer. And accompanying Niko to the deal would be another big-time crack cocaine distributor, Trey Playboy X Stewart.
What's up, money?
At the deal, things would quickly go south when the buyers turned out to be undercover LCPD investigators, forcing all parties to flee, including Niko and Playboy, who walk away empty-handed. Now under investigation, Elizabeta would become increasingly paranoid, which wouldn't be helped when a contact of little Jacob's rips her off for a large supply of cocaine, forcing Niko to retrieve it to both get paid and save Jacob's ass from the already pissed-off coke dealer.
Hey, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Upon successfully stealing back the cocaine from the Spanish lords and Angels of Death, Niko would be forced to flee an LCPD ambush and just barely managed to escape when he was contacted by Jacob, who asked Niko to meet him in Chase Point, claiming that someone who knows him may be responsible for alerting the authorities. When he arrived, Niko would be approached by his own girlfriend, Michelle, who revealed the real reason she'd been dating Niko all along was to watch him.
Michelle?
As it happens, it is. You see, Niko, I have been working for the government. I'm afraid it's my job to watch you. And now I have to ask you for the coke.
This is a joke, right?
Please, please don't make this harder for me than it already is. Look, they're about to take down Elizabeta.
I don't fucking believe this.
Listen, I'm sorry it had to be this way, Niko. I'm really sorry. Hey, you could have gone down too, if you weren't so useful.
You fucking bitch.
If further betrayal wasn't enough, it was around this time that Niko would be contacted by Mallory, who feared Roman had been kidnapped and was being held at a warehouse in Bohan Industrial. A furious Niko would rush to the warehouse and take down all the men guarding Roman, and learn that Dmitri Raskolov had orchestrated the kidnapping in an attempt to kill or capture Niko upon arriving to rescue his cousin. Having underestimated Niko once again, the Bellic cousins would escape the warehouse, and once more narrowly escape death or capture by Raskolov and Bulgarin.
No.
We're going to die. I don't want to die, man. Not like this.
How would you like to die?
Having a
threesome on my 100th birthday? I don't fucking know. I'm scared, you cold bastard. What are we going to do?
Under blackmail for his many crimes since arriving in Liberty, Niko would be forced to work for a contact at United Liberty Paper, the man giving orders to Michelle, whose real name was revealed to be Karen Daniels. For this contact, Niko would act as an independent contract assassin, taking down threats to national security. Ironically, all Russians deemed for one reason or another as dangers to American hegemony in Liberty City. Though working for the ULP contact had been coerced, the mysterious man with connections to Niko's home country would promise to help Niko in locating that special someone.
We're all looking for that special someone.
But most of us don't want to kill them when we find them.
After successfully eliminating their main target, Edward Borodin, with the aid of Little Jacob, in a helicopter chase across Algonquin. After authorities close in on and arrest Elizabeta, Niko would also continue working for Playboy X, and soon after, Playboy's friend and former head of the North Holland crack ring, Dwayne Forge, fresh out of a stint in the Liberty City prison system.
I called. Couple of times.
Man, hey, Dwayne, this is Niko.
Hey.
Niko Dwayne Forge. Taught me everything I know.
Not everything.
Niko would begin helping Playboy and partnering with real estate mogul Yusuf Amir by clearing a worksite Amir had been eyeing of union tough guys employed by the Messina crime family, as well as perform an assassination for Playboy before being delegated to assisting Dwayne, who was struggling to find a purpose following his time inside. Niko would take an immediate liking to Forge, whom he would help initially on condition of being paid by Playboy, but go on to directly conflict with Playboy's agenda by shooting up a strip club in Bohan, which Playboy had taken control of when Dwayne was arrested, in order to place the establishment back under Forge's control. At some point, angered by Dwayne's moves against his businesses, Playboy X would ask Niko to put the matter to rest once and for all, and kill his former friend and associate, something Niko was very reluctant to agree to. Our sources were unable to confirm with certainty, but the most likely outcome of this request was Niko refusing to kill Forge, and instead killing Playboy X in order to save Dwayne's life. As Niko saw a great deal of himself in the fallen drug lord, though once again, take the scenario with a grain of salt, as Niko's occasionally unpredictable nature, and the classified or anecdotal nature of the information available, means we can never know for certain what happened. What is known is that around this time, Niko, who had been working for numerous high-level players in Liberty City's underworld, had accrued a steady savings, and was supporting Roman as they eked closer and closer to the lifestyle of the American dream, built on death instead of good old-fashioned American ingenuity. Roman Bellic, continuing a hot streak in his gambling, purchased a lavish penthouse apartment in Middle Park East, and Niko was seen driving flashier and flashier vehicles, including a bright yellow Comet he'd been given by Brucey Kibbutz. It seemed that the Bellic cousins may have finally found that elusive opportunity Niko had heard so much about. Whilst living in Algonquin, Niko would continue diversifying his network of criminal contacts by doing jobs for the Irish mob under the McReary family, and by extension, the Italian mob through Ray Bacino, who hired Packy to steal from the Triads, and later one of the 5 dominant families of Liberty City, the Ancelotti family. After ingratiating himself to Packy, Niko would be asked to participate in one of the most successful bank robberies ever orchestrated in the city, when Niko, Packy, and his brother Derek McReary and Irish associate St. Michael Keane robbed the Columbus Avenue branch of Liberty Bank and walked away with $250,000 each, despite losing Michael to a lone hero gunman attempting to stop the robbery in progress.
We told you not to fuck with us! Shit! Michael! St. fucking Michael! Fucking shit! Get the money! Me and my brother will watch the kids!
During his time working for the many McReary siblings, Niko would also take a particular liking to the lone sister of the McReary brothers, Kate, whom Niko would casually date with reluctant permission from the overprotective Packy. Unlike Michelle or Karen, Niko would become deeply invested in Kate, finding her to be a lone source of happiness in his otherwise violent and depressing life as a contract killer, and the two would hang out frequently in between Niko's jobs, always being direct with Kate about the nature of his working with her brothers, but never fully exposing her to the details of death and destruction common to his criminal lifestyle.
Coming, Ma! You boys play nice now.
For sure!
Okay!
Oh, we're gonna play real nice.
Never being directly involved with the family's criminal element and never before having dated one of her brother's violent friends, Kate would nevertheless also develop a fondness for Niko, despite all reports indicating that the two were only ever technically friends, with Kate reluctant to involve herself completely with such a dangerous man. For the corrupted Deputy Police Commissioner Francis McReary, whom Niko had met during his time working for Manny Escuela, he would initially work under a thin threat of blackmail, as Francis threatened to give Niko up to the FIB should he refuse to help him in dealing with his own source of blackmail. Niko would silence the people threatening to expose McReary, including a lawyer who was attempting to build a case against Francis, and a couple of street hustlers from East Holland, Clarence Little and one of his chief lieutenants. There is some ambiguity as to whether or not Niko killed Little himself, though confirmation was able to be obtained on the death of Little's lieutenants. For the eldest and unofficial head of the McReary family, Derek McReary, who was in turn operating largely under Alderney-based Don Jimmy Pegorino of the Pegorino family, Niko would attempt to destabilize the Ancelotti family by first assassinating a high-ranking Capo regime, Anthony Black Tony Sapoletto, and later posing as an Albanian biker to perform a false flag attack on the Ancelottis and further escalate the issues between the two. Not long after, Gerald would be arrested on numerous charges, but continue making moves against the Ancelottis from in prison, by having Niko meet with him as a visitor and speaking in coded language while using Packy to pass along details and assist Niko. Gerald would organize the kidnapping of Don Giovanni Ancelotti's daughter, Gracie, in order to ransom a large amount of money off them and further hamper their business and financial interests. After posing as a prospective buyer for Gracie's pink Felser she'd been trying to sell online, Niko would take Gracie, with plenty of resistance from the mob daughter, to a safe house in northern Alderney for holding. Though the Ancelottis would try once, unsuccessfully, to take Gracie back while being transported to a new safe house in Northwood, eventually Packy and Niko would meet with two associates of the family, Gay Tony Prince and his muscle Luis Lopez, to make an exchange for diamonds Lopez had previously stolen off Niko during a job for Pegorino capo, Ray Bacino. The meet would go horribly wrong, however, when the original owner of the diamonds, Ray Bulgarin, ambushes the meet with his men, forcing Niko and Packy to fight their way through dozens of Russian gangsters, before Bulgarin's man tosses the cursed diamonds into a passing dump truck, ensuring that no one would ever make money off of them again.
I don't nobody having them. Screw all of you.
Jebeno isto.
You selfish piece of cock-sucking shit.
For the fresh out of prison and concerningly alcoholic Derek McReary, Niko would take revenge against a former friend of Derek's who he suspected was responsible for his incarceration, Bucky Sligo, as well as protect a North Korean supernote distributor as he entered the country via boat. He would also, with Packy's assistance, capture and kill another of Derek's former associates, suspected of ratting on the McRearys, Aidan O'Malley, by blocking his convoy en route to the Alderney State Correctional Facility under the guise of a prison break, and then taking O'Malley to be executed in secret. Unaware that his brother Derek had been released from prison and was back on the streets, Francis would contact Niko not long after working with Derek and furiously demand that Niko execute his own brother when Derek threatens to expose Francis's corruption and jeopardize his career prospects.
You got the big problem then.
Me? We, my friend. We. You stop it.
Stop?
Stop.
Kill your brother.
He's already dead. Just put him out of his misery.
Fuck you.
No, fuck you, pal. I'm gonna meet him in the Courtyard Park off Bismarck and Lancet. Deal with him. Make him a tragedy, not a disaster. Do it, or I will put you away. Oh, don't push me.
Niko, who was none too fond of the corrupt deputy commissioner, but still in danger of being fingered for numerous crimes to which Francis was privy, and under threat of exposure, was forced to make a decision at a meeting set up by Francis at a park in Lancet. Derek, suspicious of his brother, would ask Niko to take out Francis instead, but unfortunately, our GTA biography investigators once again came up short in determining who exactly Niko killed, as information on both McReary brothers has been and continues to be covered in black ink. Some sources claim that Niko killed Derek reluctantly in order to save himself from Francis's threats to expose his crimes. Others say that it was Francis who Niko killed, eliminating any possible evidence linking him back to the deputy commissioner's own crimes, and saving Derek, whom Niko had more sympathy for. But we may never know the real story. Having been previously introduced while working for the McRearys, Niko would also take on many jobs from the Pegorino family capo Ray Bacino, operating out of Algonquin's Little Italy district, where Niko would participate in Bacino's elaborate attempt to sell the previously mentioned diamonds after stealing them from the cook, who smuggled them into the city of Puerto Platypus during his attempt to sell them to Gay Tony and Luis Lopez. After getting his hands on the diamonds, Bacino would have them stashed in garbage bags around the city until a buyer could be found, and later have Niko work alongside associates Luca Silvestri, Johnny Barbosa, and Joseph DeLeo to collect them in preparation for a sale. After learning that Luca and his men attempted to rip off the diamonds for themselves, Ray would also send Niko to kill the group and retrieve the product once again before being sent to sell them to Jewish mobsters Isaac Roth and Maury Green, with help from Johnny Klebitz of the Lost MC, for the second time, who remained unaware of Niko's role in killing numerous Lost members already, including a good friend to Johnny, Jason Michaels.
There it is. Beautiful, huh? Unmarked bills. No history, no need to launder.
Good. Niko, show him the stuff.
Get in there, Maury.
Isaac, look at them.
Gorgeous, huh? Like condensed money.
Isaac, these are great.
Oh! Rest of you motherfuckers wanna die? Do something stupid, okay? Fuck you!
Just get the shit, man! Come on!
When, as previously mentioned, the deal is ambushed by Luis Lopez, Niko escapes with only his life, while Johnny takes the money and Luis takes the diamonds after killing Maury Green. Furious from the botched deal, Ray would have Niko meet with Pegorino associate Phil Bell before having him chase and kill another Lost MC member in retribution for taking Ray's money, Jim Fitzgerald, ironically another good friend of Johnny's. With the operation a failure, but by no fault of Niko's, Ray would reluctantly agree to fulfill the promise he'd made to Niko of helping him to locate Florian Kravich, as well as introduce Niko to Ray's boss and head of the Pegorino crime family, Jimmy Pegorino. Working directly for Jimmy now, Niko would work to help Pegorino undermine the interests of some of the 5 families of Liberty City, most prominently the Pavano and Ancelotti families. After saving Jimmy during a sit-down that Pegorino thought would finally get him a seat on the commission, Niko would exact payback on the Pavanos, before being tasked with assisting associate Phil Bell. The first job Niko would do for Phil involved stealing a truckload full of heroin, the very same heroin Niko had tried to sell for Elizabeth Torres weeks earlier from the Liberty City Triads. After attacking the Triads and taking the product, Niko would stash it with Phil's nephew, Frankie Gallo, at an old mansion in Westgate.
You're a lucky guy.
I don't know about that. I gotta sit on this stuff until Phil gets over his paranoia, and we could ship it.
Later, Phil would discover an alliance between the Russians and Albanians and have Niko ambush the deal and steal their cocaine for offloading, as well as assassinate Ancelotti underboss Charles Mateo, who had discovered Phil and Niko's involvement in sabotaging the deal and planned to leak the information to the commission. Later, Niko and Phil would meet up again with Frankie Gallo to move the heroin, only to learn that the LCPD had been watching the building the entire time. In a close call, Phil, Frankie, and Niko would evade the police in a chase through the streets of Alderney before stashing the heroin once more at a safe house in Leftwood to be sold at a later date. Around this time, Jimmy Pegorino would discover a rat inside his organization in his own personal bodyguard, Anthony Corrado, and after threatening the man over the phone when he learned of his deal with the FIB, gave Corrado a heart attack, afterwards sending Niko to eliminate him while he recovered at Westlake Memorial Hospital, which Niko successfully does. Seeing traitors around every corner, Pegorino's next target would fall on his own capo, Ray Bacino, whom Niko also assassinated at a gas station whilst en route to a chop shop in Boabo.
I'll get a chunk muscle to stop the gas in the way. It might create a good opportunity for you.
Before killing Ray, however, the man Niko himself described as
The rat, doing an impression of a man.
would indeed fulfill his promise to Niko and pass along information leading to Florian Kravich by way of a man named Talbot Daniels, whom coincidentally Roman knew through his various poker games around Liberty City. After interrogating Daniels together, the Bellic cousins would head to Florian's apartment, who now went by the name Bernie Crane, to hopefully find closure on the horrific incident that scarred Niko all those years prior.
Niko, be calm! Be calm!
Fuck! Kom! Florian! Oddesam zbog tebe, drgađior! Otvori! Florian! I've come for you, Florian.
Oh, go away!
Florian. Jesi toti?
Niko? What the hell are you doing here?
What happened to you?
Oh, I started working out. You know, toned up the,
Florian? You used to work in the abattoir?
Oh, don't remind me. Roman? You put on a few vanity pounds. What are you guys doing here? Why did you kick my door down?
I've come to ask you some questions.
It wasn't you, was it?
What wasn't me?
Who set us up? It was you or Darko! I thought it must be him! Oh my god! You think it was me! That's why you are here! You've come to kill me! Well, screw you, Niko Bellic and Fatty Roman! It wasn't me, it wasn't! I wouldn't do that!
Unfortunately for Niko, upon meeting Crane, the cousins would discover that he was not in fact the one who betrayed their unit and had come to Liberty City seeking acceptance for his homosexuality, which was deeply shunned in their home country, Serbia. Under a new name, Bernie Crane had been living a life of relative comfort and was even dating the closeted deputy mayor, Bryce Dawkins, who was infamous for his anti-gay and pro-family legislation, despite being gay himself. Believing wholeheartedly that the man he had found could not have been responsible for their betrayal, Niko would instead help Bernie, being old friends, in dealing with a homophobic stalker who had been harassing Crane in Middle Park.
Why don't you pick on someone who'll fight back? What's your problem, fag lover? Whatever you say, buddy. Unfortunately, for hitting my friend, I'm going to kick the shit out of you.
Niko would also later help Bryce Dawkins for Bernie by killing members of the Russian mafia under Dmitry Raskolov, attempting to blackmail Dawkins to facilitate his dominance over the Liberty City criminal underworld, only further enraging Dmitry, who had consistently failed to capture or kill both Niko and his cousin Roman, on top of Niko's continued actions against the interests of Raskolov's partner, Ray Bulgarin. A trend which only continued when Dmitry attempts to kill both Niko and Bernie whilst riding a boat for fun, and the two manage to evade his men long enough to reach the shore, where Niko kills each of the failed assassins.
Niko, you are my knight in shining armor! Thank you! I'm sorry our fun day wasn't so very much fun. See you soon!
While working for both the Pegorinos and Crane, Niko would also be contacted directly by the head of Liberty City's most powerful mafia family, John Gravelli, after being recommended by a mutual friend in the mysterious contact from United Liberty paper. For both Gravelli and Agent ULP, Niko would work against the Russians attempting to gain a foothold in Liberty City once again, by first ensuring a speech is given by Bobby Jefferson at City Hall, warning of the dangerous influence presented by the Russians, undoing some of his own actions to the ignorance of his employers, such as killing Kim Young-guk for distributing counterfeit supernotes in the city, damaging the local and federal economy, and ambushing another deal between the Raskolov Russians and the Ancelotti family to punish them for making deals with foreign enemies. Upon successfully crippling the Russians once again for Gravelli and ULP, Niko would finally be given his opportunity for closure when ULP makes good on his earlier promise and has Darko Brevic located in Romania and transported to France's International Airport for Niko to deal with. Niko would phone Roman and the two Bellic cousins would arrive in the dead of night, where a tied-up Brevic is dumped directly at Niko's feet.
You remember me?
Pusti me, ne poznajem te. I don't know you.
Yes, you do. I'm the one who survived.
Niko, hello.
Reci mi zašto?
Zašto?
Zato što smo bili prijatelji. Svi smo odrasli zajedno. Mitar, Dragan, Goran, Mio. Mogu da nastavim. Sviju, huh?
We were friends, but I had other friends. Friends that Goran and his guys killed. My fucking neighbors! Because of what? Because of shit. Lies. Fucking lies.
So that makes it okay to stab your friends in the back?
When everything you believe is shown to be shit, you make strange choices.
Fuck you! Strange choices? How much?
1,000.
You killed my friends for $1,000.
How much do you charge to kill someone?
You ruined me, you fuck!
I needed the money. I had problems.
You're a fucking junkie!
Kill me then! You fucking hypocrite. Trust me. You'll be doing me a favor. Ah!
Niko, come on. Let's go.
let him suffer. He knows what he did. He doesn't look like he enjoys life too much. Okay, come on.
After dealing with Brevich, Niko would be one step closer to his goal of walking away from his criminal life and settling down with his family, with Roman, now a wealthy man alongside Niko, proposing to Mallory and inviting Niko's girlfriend Kate to join the celebrations. Before the campaign and parties, though, Niko would be approached one last time by Jimmy Pecorino, looking to offload the heroin stashed in Leftwood to a prospective buyer.
I need a favor.
Here we go.
Fuck you! I looked out for you, and I'll pay good, real good. But I need you to do something. I need you to collect that H. I got some Russians who have a buyer.
Russians?
Yeah. Dmitry Rascalov.
No, we got history.
I know, but this is real. I need you.
Real? What the fuck is real? Real because it's you?
Real because it's my last chance.
Then good luck.
No, I need you to get that H. I need the money. I looked out for you, people wanted to whack you, I said no. Now I need you, and I'll pay a lot of money.
Listen, Mr. Pecorino, I already told you, I got
No,
history.
you listen, you dumb immigrant fuck. I ain't asking you, I'm telling you, do this! Get over your principles. These guys don't hold grudges. Do it or you and me are gonna have a problem. Look, Phil will look after you. You won't even have to deal with the fucking Russians. He's waiting for you down in Tudor.
All right.
I knew I could count on you. Hey, how about that drink?
Faced with perhaps the most important and difficult decision in his life, Niko would speak with both his cousin Roman, who advised Niko to do the deal with Dmitry and make them even richer than they'd already become, as well as Kate McReary, who urged Niko not to trust a snake like Rascalov, whom Niko learned was aboard the platypus in Easthook from Roman, finally giving Niko the opportunity to put Dmitry down and end things once and for all. Though there are scant few individuals who claimed that in the end Niko did deal with the Russians, it is the conclusion of this program and our reporters that in fact Niko's choice was to ambush Rascalov and execute him before a deal between him and Pecorino could take place, the reasons for which we will return to later. What's thought to have occurred is a confrontation between Bellic and Rascalov on board the very ship which Niko first arrived in Liberty City on, ending in a violent shootout below deck that left all of the Russian operators dead, along with Dmitry. Between Darko and Dmitry, it seemed Niko had finally gotten the revenge he'd long desired, even if Ray Bulgarin remained out of reach.
You screwed me over. Now you're paying for it. Shame that'll be the second last thing that goes into your head. Goodbye.
You're the one who's going to learn a lesson. People aren't going to be happy if you kill me. Blять, ёбаный!
I've never been popular. I don't mean to start now.
With loose ends wrapping up, Niko would plan to attend Roman and Mallory's wedding accompanied by Kate McReary, but on the fateful day, a vengeful and thoroughly ruined Jimmy Pecorino would ambush the celebrations and bring further tragedy into Niko's life. In an attempt to kill Niko, stray bullets would instead strike and kill Kate McReary, leaving Niko devastated and once again bloodthirsty for revenge.
Get on. Oh, one out of this blood clot. Niko, come on. Oh, somebody call an ambulance. Call the fucking ambulance!
She's dead!
What? Oh, shit. She
told me to leave it. I thought I thought it was over.
It's never over, Aya. Niko, you can't blame yourself.
Of course I can! She's dead!
Easy, are you better, man? Easy. Calm down, man. Calm down. Niko, you have to get out of here. Yes, go on, man. Go on, man. We have to leave, man. Just leave.
Get out of here.
Don't
Go.
worry, we take care of this, man.
Okay.
With help from Little Jacob and Roman, Niko would track down Pecorino at an abandoned casino in Westdyke, where, after a massive shootout, Niko would begin chasing Jimmy through the waterways of Liberty City. Jacob, having acquired a police annihilator helicopter, would collect Niko from his bike and continue chasing Pecorino all the way to Happiness Island, where they finally cornered the wannabe mafioso, and Niko gunned him down once and for all.
I told you to leave me alone.
I give the orders here. Me!
You're not looking so good there, Jimmy.
Screw you.
What the fuck did she ever do to you?
I wanted you immigrant dipshit.
Big talk. You want to know something funny?
Not really.
The commission, the old families, I know some of those guys. And they thought you were a fat fucking joke.
Whatever.
A joke!
Cousin!
Yeah.
You did it.
Really? I don't know. What did I do?
But we're done. Now we can start making money. Freely.
I suppose so.
We won, man. We won!
With Ray Bulgarin soon after killed by an unknown actor, Niko would find that all meaningfully remaining connections to his violent life could be tied up with both him and his cousin being exceedingly wealthy, even without the money from a potential deal, and Niko presumably walking away from his long life of trafficking, smuggling, and assassinating, for a quiet life with his cousin, living the American dream.
So this is what the dream feels like. This is the victory we longed for.
There are those who claim both that Niko in fact did deal with Dmitry Rascalov, and that it was not Kate McReary killed at Roman's wedding, but Roman himself. However, these claims were checked, double-checked, and then mailed to a foreign country to be checked by highly skilled, underpaid workers for a third time in order to verify that Roman Bellic remains alive. This is evidenced by the existence of his Life Invader page, with information relating to the whereabouts of the Bellic cousins to this day. While we are unable to disclose where the cousins are, or if they remain in Liberty City at all, we can indeed be sure with a great deal of certainty that it was Kate McReary who died, and not Roman Bellic. Niko's reputation among heist experts and criminal contractors across the United States has remained high ever since the Bank of Liberty robbery, and Packy McReary, who has remained active in criminal undertakings as far as Los Santos San Andreas, at least as recently as 2013, has spoken on multiple occasions to Niko's reliability, though he suspects, having not heard from Niko in many years, that he could be dead.
There was an Eastern European guy making moves in Liberty City. He went quiet.
The only known reference to Niko since that time came from a notorious San Andreas heist planner, Lester Crest, in 2017, during a collaboration with the IAA and Agent ULP on a mission to take down madman Avon Hertz.
This is an old agent. You know, I heard about him running some poor bank robber in Liberty City like a decade ago. And what happened to him?
Niko Bellic is a haunted, peculiar hypocrite of a man. He is perhaps the first man in the series, apart from perhaps Victor Vance, who seemed to truly hate the circumstances that made him a perfect killing machine, and took practically no joy whatsoever from the numerous people he killed for money, with a few notable exceptions in the cases of revenge. Having grown up in the derelict shadow of the Bosnian and Yugoslav wars, from a young age, Niko became jaded and hateful of the disgusting world he saw around him, until he perhaps took up the mentality of, if you can't beat them, join them, following his military unit's ambushing and the death of 12 of his childhood friends, as well as numerous other atrocities witnessed during his time in war. Using the ugliness of humanity around him as a pretense to unleash his own violent and morally ambiguous tendencies, Niko sold people, smuggled people, and most of all killed many, many people throughout his life as a criminal across Europe and in Liberty City. Even if the man did eventually step away from the criminal lifestyle, his hypocrisy remains palpable, particularly his tendency to take immediate and gross offense when his loyalty is questioned, despite betraying several of his employers provided another was willing to provide enough cash. Whether or not Niko was at heart a psychopath who enjoyed his life as most prominently an assassin and contract killer is not much in contention. It is the opinion of this reporter and the rest of the team at GTA Biographies that Niko was a different brand of criminal to the typical maniac with no respect for civilized society. Instead, Niko is an example of how the corruption present in the American justice system is but a glimpse into the injustice faced by people across the world by governments, organized crime, or whoever else manages to hold the reins of power that week. He is an example of what can happen to a man when the raw ugliness of humankind is laid bare, and time again how the horrors of war can change people, turning those who might otherwise have been capable of living normal, humble lives into trained killers who know nothing but a life of violence and death. Niko is fiercely and violently defensive of his loved ones, especially his cousin Roman, whom he had to save on multiple occasions from various criminal elements looking to reach Niko through his cousin. While capable of explosive anger, he is more often than not calm and collected, even showing a much gentler side of himself to his girlfriends and occasionally his close male friends. Niko is deeply cynical and found the culture of America blatantly hypocritical despite his own hypocrisy, describing himself as neither conservative or liberal, but having a deep disdain for bullshitters, such as Bernie Crane's bisexual lover Bryce Dawkins and his crusades against gay rights. It is clear that Niko was, at a young age, an idealist, whose experiences as a soldier in war sharply defined his abilities to make a life for himself, finding that by his 20s, killing was all that Niko was really good at, and forcing him into a life of killing and smuggling just to survive. Despite English being a second language, Niko can be quite persuasive, and is not easily intimidated, only losing his composure when dealing with Darko or enemies of his that threaten his loved ones. While he has killed numerous individuals, all of them have had at least a tenuous connection to crime, with Niko showing an unusual amount of deference towards civilians, especially women, than previous subjects on this show, going out of his way to help or even give money to strangers on multiple occasions, even committing crimes for people he's never met in an effort to lend a helping hand to somebody he thinks is down on their luck and worth the time of day. He is also exceptionally professional in his work, never drinking while on the job, remaining focused and always doing exactly as instructed with little exception, further bolstering Niko's reputation as one of the most reliable contractors in Liberty City circa 2008. Niko Bellic in another life may have been a truly good man. However, given the hand dealt to him, he instead opted to blend in among the monsters in an attempt to find some fraction of peace and happiness in a world he viewed as unforgiving, unfair, and pointlessly cruel, while taking what few opportunities he could to try and make amends for his numerous and egregious crimes against his fellow man. Niko has brown hair and brown hazel eyes, and at the age of 30 spotted a scruffy look with short hair, rough 5 o'clock shadow, and a slender build with a distinctive scar running through his left eyebrow. While not known to work out regularly, Niko's criminal lifestyle contributed to his relatively slender build, constantly on the run from police, mobsters, and politicians of all stripes. Niko Bellic arrived in Liberty City with hopes of living the good life with his cousin, but was quickly pulled into the life of a hardened criminal. Even before his crimes in Liberty, Niko had done egregious things whilst working for men like Ray Bulgarin back in Europe, and his trend of bringing misery wherever he walked would only continue, some might say accelerate, with his arrival in America. While many sources seem to indicate that Niko retired following the events surrounding the Raskolov Mafia and Pegorino families, his tallies for mayhem, death, and destruction are just as noteworthy as any other exceptional psychopath we've yet examined. Without further ado, let's take a closer look at the numbers on this reluctant but effective contract killer. Beating Blader Morina, Callum Volaj, and killing Darden Petrena. Escaping the LCPD alongside Jermaine Andrews. Watching over a meeting and helping Little Jacob kill the hostile gang members. Helping Little Jacob to kill the gang members who set him up, following a drug dealer to his apartment and killing him and his backup, taking part in numerous drug deals for Little Jacob, vandalizing a shop to convince the owner to hand over money he owes to Vlad Glebov, assaulting a laundromat owner to convince him to hand over the money he owes to Vlad, stealing Jimmy's car for Vlad, chasing Ivan Bichkov, killing Vlad Glebov and hiding his body, stealing a police car and a van full of TVs owned by Kenny Petrovich, threatening Joseph Kaplan to convince him to hand the money he owes to Mikhail Faustin, killing Lenny Petrovich, killing Jason Michaels, blowing up Kenny Petrovich's garage, killing Mikhail Faustin, killing numerous Russian mobsters after being led into an ambush by Dmitry Raskolov and Ray Bulgarin, stealing a police car and killing Lyle Rivas, stealing Lyle's car for Brucey Kibitz, killing Tom Rivas, stealing numerous cars for Brucey Kibitz, killing a drug dealer and his associates at a warehouse, killing several gang members at a garage, watching over a drug deal and killing the hostile dealers who attacked Patrick McReary, taking part in a drug deal alongside Johnny Klebitz and Playboy X, and escaping from the LCPD, killing numerous officers in the process when the deal is revealed to be an LCPD bust, killing several gang members who get off of a train, stealing back Elizabeth Torres' cocaine from the Angels of Death, killing both them and several pursuing LCPD officers in the process, disposing of Manny Escuela and Jay Hamilton's bodies, stealing a truck from the Triads for Ray Boccino alongside Patrick McReary, stealing money from the Ancelotti crime family for Ray Boccino alongside Patrick, Gordon Sargent, and Michael Keene, robbing the Bank of Liberty alongside Patrick, Derek McReary, and Michael Keene, killing Anthony Spoleto and several other members of the Ancelotti crime family using a car bomb, killing Frank Garone, killing numerous Russian mobsters in order to rescue Roman Bellic, killing Francis McReary's blackmailer, killing Tom Goldberg and stealing his files on Francis, killing Clarence Little and his guards, killing Clarence's chief lieutenant, killing several union officials and their guards, killing Marlon Bridges, killing Javon Simon, assaulting the Triangle Club and killing the Trenchez brothers, killing either Playboy X or Dwayne Forge, becoming a hitman for United Liberty Paper and killing Oleg Minkov, stealing a helicopter and using it to chase Edward Borodin, who was killed by Little Jacob for UL Paper, killing Teddy Benavides and his guards for not paying his debt to Ray Boccino, retrieving stolen diamonds from the trash alongside Luca Silvestri and his crew, killing Luca and his crew for betraying Boccino and stealing the diamonds, attending a diamond deal with the Jewish mob alongside Johnny Klebitz and killing numerous Jewish mobsters to escape the deal when it gets ambushed by Luis Lopez and goes awry, killing Jim Fitzgerald and another biker in retaliation for Johnny betraying Boccino during the diamond deal, killing Isaac Roth and his guards for accusing Ray Boccino of setting up the ambush deal, stealing a police car and killing Bucky Sligo and his associates, killing numerous Albanian mobsters who attacked Kim Jong-guk, attacking an LCPD convoy alongside Patrick McReary to free and kill Aidan O'Malley, killing Francis or Derek McReary, killing several Albanians who attack a McReary funeral, stealing numerous cars for Stevie, kidnapping Gracie Ancelotti, killing several members of the Ancelotti crime family who attempt to rescue Gracie, killing numerous Russian mobsters working for Ray Bulgarin who ambushed the exchange of Gracie for the diamonds alongside Patrick McReary, killing the homophobic man stalking Bernie Crane, killing Dmitry Raskolov's men blackmailing Bernie and Bryce Dawkins, killing 3 of Dmitry's men attacking him and Bernie during a boat ride, stealing a truck full of heroin from the Triads for Phil Bell and killing all the Triads guarding it, watching over a drug deal and killing all the hostile members of the Pavano family who attacked Jimmy Pagarino, killing several members of the Pavano family at the Auto Eroticar showroom as payback, killing numerous targets for the Fixer, killing several of Dmitry's men attacking Bobby Jefferson, assaulting Mr. Fuchs' rice box and killing Kim Jong-guk, destroying the Ancelotti family's vans full of coke and killing all of Dmitry's men guarding them, stealing the Russians' boats full of coke for the Pagarino family and killing all of Dmitry's men guarding them alongside Phil Bell, killing Charles Mateo and all his guards at the abandoned Sprunk factory, escaping from the LCPD with a bag full of heroin alongside Phil Bell and Frank Gallo, infiltrating the hospital, killing Anthony Corrado, and escaping from the pursuing LCPD officers, killing Ray Boccino and his guards, infiltrating the Platypus and killing Dmitry and all his guards, killing all of Pagarino's men at the abandoned Alderney Casino before chasing and killing Pagarino on Happiness Island in retaliation for Kate McReary's death. For a man such as Niko Bellic, Liberty City was a perfect illustration of the true American dream, with lies, betrayal, corruption, and hypocrisy as far as the eye could see, demonstrating that unlike the ideal of the America far separated from the brutish European governments he was familiar with, reality was that America was just more of the same.
And hey, welcome to America. La Scala Stara Deja.
Bushka.
As a highly competent and skilled assassin, Niko racked up an estimated body count of 633 murders alone, a number only surpassed by Tony Cipriani, whose body count included the all-at-once destruction of Fort Staunton. Bearing this in mind, Niko is easily the single most deadly killer next to Tony, and easily the most effective at what he does. While for the first time in the history of Grand Theft Auto Biographies, the fault for Niko's mass murdering tendencies cannot be laid at the feet of America, Niko still goes to show just how common the violence he perpetuates is across even the modern world. America is a dangerous place, people, and the Liberty City of today is just as deadly, perhaps more so, than it was 13 years ago when the Bellic cousins left their mark. Street thugs, mobs on every corner, and corruption so thick it makes your mother look like Kathy Young. Stay indoors, people. You never know if the next Slavic immigrant you buy your vodka from is in reality just another rung on the ladder of Russian organized crime. I'll see you next time, folks. This has been Grand Theft Auto Biographies with me, your host, Guinness Walker. Thank you for watching.